What's up, everyone? Welcome to Detox Proxy. As you can see, I'm inside my vehicle and just waking up. It is about 6:15 in the morning, and I am camped out on the side of a Forest Service road. There is a lake right beside us that I plan on fishing, and there's also a remote camp that I want to kayak over to and set up a tent. Now, this lake that we're at, it's quite large, but it also has a couple portages that go over into other lakes. There is a recreation site just down the way here that I kind of thought I was going to at least just stay the night. A few side-by-sides full of tents. It's just a 2-site campsite, but it is full. Now, I suppose there is a possibility that the people from this recreation site are actually out on the water already and have, been staying at one of those remote campsites. The only way to find out is to pack up and head out there. I think this spot is maybe up to a mile. It's probably less than a mile away. It's just the kind of route that I need to take to get over there. So let's get started. So just to give you guys an idea of where I am, I'm just parked right here. This fire service road, there's actually a little fire pit right here. And there's this little trail leading down to the water. And I currently have the kayak fully loaded. I'm probably getting close to weight capacity there, especially with me in it. I still have to think about my fishing tackle, some wood, a sleeping bag, sleeping pad. There's a bunch more things I still need to bring over. But we're heading off in that direction. Kind of got to go around this I think this is a little island actually. Get around the corner of that and kind of pass our way through. And I really don't know if you guys are going to be able to tell, but the mosquitoes are insane, and I kind of figured they would be, so I actually bought some of this mosquito netting, at least one for my face. I have lots of bug spray. It doesn't seem to do very much, but as long as I can get my tent set up in a place to refuge away from the mosquitoes, then I should be okay. So I just need to grab my phone so I got some kind of GPS location, and we're off into the wild. So I've left shore, and the mosquitoes are coming along with me. I've already had one bite me through the netting, so this is not going to be easy. But just right here, I keep seeing fish jump like a foot out of the water, and it makes me kind of want to cast. But I think I've just got a little bit too much weight in the kayak right now. I'd like to get to the spot, unload it. Maybe I'll cast a few times on the way back. So I have made my way through the first lake and into this channel that leads over to the second lake. So there's no portaging here. And then as soon as I get around the corner at the end, I just got to come back down this way, and there's an island over on the other side, and just on the tip of it is the first camp, which I plan on staying. So I figure maybe about 40 minutes to the camp, and 40 minutes back to the forester if I need to resupply, which I at least need to get some bedding, and I'm probably going to have some firewood because the bugs are just crazy. I'm just coming up to the end of the channel. I guess it's like a little zigzag through here before you come out into the other lake. And there is a bunch of trees here. And I know it gets a little bit shallow. In some spots I can literally see the bottom 5-6 feet down. The water is crystal clear. And just coming up ahead here I can see there's a ledge of rock or something down in the water. I'm just hoping these trees, all these fallen trees, don't obstruct me of making my way through here. You can see how shallow the rock is here. There's all types of some kind of algae slime on it. This is probably the most shallow section. Just make my way through these trees a little bit. I mean, there's so many of them in here. They're just piled up all on top of one another. Looks like a fish coming out of the water right over here. Probably a nice little trout habitat actually. So I've come into the second lake and just having a look on GPS here. It looks like that spot of land right straight ahead of us is where camp is. So I'm gonna head over to the tip of that. Actually, I might see a little structure over there from here. It's kind of hard to see through the mosquito netting. Okay, so I'm coming up on the first camp. It's a little less than I expected. I mean, it's just a bunch of rock and trees. Kind of looks like there's a clearing in there. I don't know, there's a bunch of rock right here. Maybe I can come in over there. Maybe I can kind of come over on this side. Well, I mean, it's a little clearing. Okay, let's check this place out. Tell you one thing, I'm glad I brought my rubber boots, because shoring up here, I knew it would get wet. And coming in here, there's just like almost like a little couple trails, just small little tiny trails. But here's one flattened section here, probably not the flattest, and a bunch of roots coming up through it. And then kind of back over this way, actually got a little fire pit, some cut logs for benches, and there's this other little section. It's fairly flat. I mean, it's angled this way a little bit, much less roots, and probably just a good enough size for my little 2-man, 3-man tent. So I think I'm going to set it up here. And yeah, that's kind of it. It's just a small little remote camp. Just enough clearing to set up 2 tents and have a fire. And just having a look, there's some dark clouds off in the distance, and I got a feeling like it might rain on and off a little bit here. Paddling here was, you know, I've got a pretty good load on, so it was a little bit more time, I'm sure, and paddling back be a little bit easier. But I just don't want the wind to pick up and the water to get a little bit worse with a bunch of weight in the kayak. So I think I'm going to dump all my gear and head back to the Forester. Okay, I see a bunch of surfacing right in here as well. It's still relatively early. Not even a bite there. Cast from here a few times. The landing for the Forester is just ahead here. I can just barely see the marker, and fortunately there is one, because I wouldn't spot it otherwise. And just coming in here, the bugs are that insane again, just being that close to the road and human activity. But we're ready to head off a second time. I'm fully loaded again. I've got my pots and pans, which I just remembered. Sleeping bag, I wasn't able to put the sleeping pad on. It's too large. If I need to come back tomorrow and get it or something, I will. Tarp, all my poles, my tackle. The dry bag is pretty much all my electronics and everything to charge batteries, my little power station, charging packs, and then a bunch of firewood, and my jacket, my rain gear, a little axe, a bunch of water, more water, couple drinks on the other side. And it probably looks super excessive, and it absolutely is. You know, if I'm going to be out for 2 days, I try and plan it more for 4 days, and that way if there's any sort of emergency whatsoever, you know, the probability of survival increases. I've got the Forester all locked up, and everything else that I really need is on the kayak, so it's probably another 45 minutes to an hour to get all the way back to camp and start setting up. Okay, that was so cool. I just watched a trout come right to the surface. Well, not a very big one, but you can see what kind of graveyard it is in here. It's just sunken trees everywhere. I just got too tempted and had to cast, and I've actually got a fish on. Oh, it's small. Actually, it looks like it's a little rainbow, it looks like. Yeah, it's just a little rainbow. He's got the hook pretty good, but there, we got him off. Get him back in the water here. Well, it's good to know that they're biting. I was kind of expecting cutthroat and not a rainbow, but you know, a wild rainbow, I'm sure he would taste good too. The wind has really picked up over here in the second lake, and I'm pushing against it with all the weight. I mean, it's like I'm paddling a log. Camp is just over here, so we're not too far now. Before actually setting up camp, I am starving and I need to eat something. I haven't eaten yet today. I've only had a bottle of water. We started at 6:15 and it's 10:45. So before anything else, I'm gonna bust out the stove, get some sausage patties and eggs going, make some breakfast sandwiches. All right, so I've got the kayak partially unloaded and got my wood there. Set up my little kitchen over here. Sausage patties are almost done, ready to throw in some eggs. And then I just have to, get basically just a sleeping bag, my jacket and stuff, and start setting up the tent over here. I've been trying to think of the things I may have forgotten, and of course I forget something every time. But this time it was the windlass mic for one. It does a great job out on the water, but I can make do without it, obviously. The other thing was my coffee mug. I don't have my coffee mug, so it might be coffee in a pot tomorrow morning. Breakfast sandwiches are all done. I've already had one. Got the alfalfa sprouts on top, egg, sausage, barbecue sauce. I forgot to put cheese in the eggs, but that's not a big deal. And I've gone ahead and started some hot water because I need coffee. I tell you, that's a yummy little sandwich and much needed. It was quite the mission to get here. And planning the trip, I kind of realized it was going to be like that. I was going to have to make it in 2 trips just because with the weight of the cooler and the wood, I figured that was going to have to be 2 separate loads. And I brought a lot of stuff with me, but really thinking about it, I'm almost debating getting my sleeping pad still, just because I think the ground is going to be so cold. Other things I forgot were those little camp heats and mosquito coils, just extra stuff to make it more comfortable instead of, freezing to death. Believe it or not, we're going into July and the temperatures are like 14, 15 degrees today. Lots of cloud cover. So it's going to make for a cold night. Well, I've done a pretty good job of getting this set up in time for the rain, because as soon as I started setting up the tent, it was just starting to spit rain, and then as I started setting up the tarp, the rain started to fall. Everything down here can pretty much stay out in the rain. It doesn't really matter. Even the stove, just the case covering it like that, keeps it dry enough. And the cooler, it doesn't matter if it gets wet. And then this is like my little dry storage area just below these 2 trees. And actually my undershirt I sweat through with the life jacket on and doing all that paddling, so I kind of got it up there to dry. So I've got my kayak seat and my tackle bag and just everything I was kind of using to get set up here. And this stool actually was part of a backpack, believe it or not. It had some brand logoing that I didn't want, and the thing only cost me $10. So I was like, well, I'll just cut the bag off of it and just use it as a stool, and it works perfect. It's so lightweight, can slide right underneath the actual kayak seat in the kayak, so it gives me 2 seating options when I'm out here, and then just my dry foods and whatever. And I got a couple things hanging in the tree there, and then of course the tarp all set up over top of this brand new tent that I've never used before. It was the first time I set it up. It's a Nightcat from Amazon. And I think I got this thing on sale for 60 or 70 bucks. It's hard to get a cheap tent that's good, right? That doesn't, fail the first time you take it out, the zipper rip open, or one of the bars actually snap or something. But this is a 2-3 man, and for me being solo with a couple of my, bags inside of it, should work perfectly. And the tent's in a fairly common design with the fiberglass bars that kind of cross over one another in the top. Kind of tie the tent up to them and put the little rain fly over top. And we'll just take a quick look inside here. So you got the outer door and then another zipper for the actual bug screen. So the thing's got some good ventilation through the front if you keep the doors open. And then of course the rain fly cover and the vent at the top there. I never trust those though, that's why I kind of have the tent or the tarp over top of it. My sleeping bag in here. My bedding is one of those bags, and a bit of clothes in the other bag, all my electronics inside of here. So it's a pretty good setup for one person. Could a couple sleep in here? Well, sure. They'd be, cuddled together anyway. But if you're planning on just going with your buddy, well, you might want to take a second tent. Well, I ended up deciding to give the tent a try, and I came in here to take a nap, and I didn't actually like fall asleep, but I was really close to it. And as you can see, you know, my head's kind of touching here, and my feet are pretty much almost at the end right there. Realistically, I mean, it's enough room, and I can sit up in here easily and get changed. I think it's going to be more so, am I going to sleep in the sleeping bag or am I going to sleep on the sleeping bag? Just because the ground is actually not that hard, and I may run into this situation where I want more warmth over comfort. So I'm going to have to kind of gauge that as night comes and I go to sleep at night. And here I can give you a better look at the end of the island here. Just basically a rock jutting out of the water. It's a pretty big lake. Now I did take some screenshots of some charts, and it looks like the water right here dips right down to about 40 feet in between here and there. And then out this way, it kind of shelves down like this to 150 feet deep. And then down out towards the center, 290 feet deep. Fuck, those are sharp. Could have been worse. Gotta be careful with those rocks. Really slippery. I just went down and cut my hand a little bit on one of them. Yeah, not too bad. I'll survive. You know what I'm talking about? These sorts of things tend to happen when you have a camera in one hand and branches in the other hand and you're not really watching your footing. Got my fire pit a little bit cleaned up, ready to go. And I've just started some dinner over here. This is my beef lentil soup that I keep on bringing out with me, but never get to eat because it's always frozen. Well, this time, this is what I'm having. So when I make this stuff, I start off with celery and carrot and a little bit of minced garlic, and I'll brown my ground beef on the side. And the lentils will be soaked in water for at least 24 hours, usually 48 hours. And then the beef and lentils get added. The broth is basically about 1.5 quarts of V8 juice, maybe 2 quarts of beef broth. I mean, I build a super big pot of this stuff, you gotta understand. It sits on the stove for a few hours. Nearing the end, I will take an entire tub of spinach, and the spinach gets added. That way it doesn't like turn into nothing. You can actually see the spinach, as opposed to the first time I made it and I put the spinach in too early, it just disintegrated to nothing. So this is pretty much done. Dinner time. Well, I've got myself all fed, feel much better, and I'm just noticing the water right in here is very smooth. And I mean, it's just a giant windbreak in here, because if you start looking over this way, the water starts to get a little turbulent. And then over here on the other side, I mean, it's still pretty wavy almost. I'm thinking if I start over on this side, maybe fish it for an hour or so, come back, have a coffee, kind of keep an eye on the water. I haven't seen any activity at all. The one good thing is, you know, I've only casted like 15, 20 times and already had a little rainbow trout on, so. I'll let the wind carry us back towards that channel that we came through. Yeah, no interest at all so far. And I tell you, it's a very different experience being this far out, this remote, sitting on a lake that's obviously entirely mine. I'm the only one out here. If people were wondering what freedom is, this is it. That water is so clear, I can see the lure coming in like 10 feet down. Through the mosquito netting. Well, I think I've only had like one nibble so far, and we've kind of drifted all the way from down here on the island, all the kind of way up in here. I'm thinking they might even come into the shallows, and this is where I caught the other rainbow, is over here. The rain's starting to come in again, and the wind's definitely picked up. So I'm just thinking of heading back to camp and making a coffee. Okay, now it's like full on raining. The waves have really picked up here. I'm just glad I don't have a full load on, so I have to paddle against all this just to try and get back to camp over there. Well, I can tell you that I'm glad I put on the rain pants because my pants would have been soaked and they're the only ones I have out here. So at least I planned that far. I started to think, you know, with the wind not calming down and it's definitely still spitting a little bit of rain out here, that maybe I would just start a fire and kind of chill out, maybe cast from shore here for a little bit, try and call it a reasonably early nights and hope that the weather's improved for tomorrow morning type thing. Yeah, that's pretty cool. The sun just setting underneath the clouds there, just breaking underneath of them. A little bit pink over on this end of it. Well, I'm getting ready to call it. It's getting close to 11 o'clock and I actually switched to like night mode, so that's why it looks so good. But my fire is just not doing very well. And I'm just thinking of just letting it die out. Leaving it like that, and then that'll give me a few good chunks to burn up tomorrow. Alright, so I'm pretty much set up in the tent. And another thing I forgot was a flashlight. Or I've even got one of those headlamps, so I'm just using my phone's flashlight to give me some light in here. I've got both of the tablet and the phone are both plugged into my EcoFlow River 2, and they're only pulling like 8 or 9 watts. It's at 76%. And that's even from using it last night. Probably by the time I go to leave out of here, it'll be still down to like 40% or something like that. Plenty of juice left. So I did put some actual pajamas on, but I decided to put my pants back over top of the pajamas. And then I'm thinking of actually putting my jacket on and wearing my jacket to bed. I just want to be really warm. Because once that cold sets in, man, it'll just wake you right up out of bed. But yeah, with all that said, I will see you in the morning. Well, good morning. It is 5:45, and I just cannot try to sleep any longer. The ground is just so hard. No matter what position I roll into, the hardness of the ground just presses into me, whether it's my hip or my back and my tailbone, or I roll onto my stomach and it's all my chest and my ribs start caving in. You know, that sort of thing. I was dealing with the cold pretty good, and I think the longest period I probably slept was like 45 minutes or something, because I remember having a dream. And I mean, there's plenty of light out. I was thinking, well, why don't I try and get out on the water, or at least see how smooth the water is and whether I want to get out on it. I don't think there's any real wind out there, so might be time to go fishing. Yeah, well, I don't think I should pass up these conditions. The water is as smoothest as it's been since I've been here. The other side, still a little ripply, but it's quite smooth as well. And you can see the skies have cleared up quite a bit. The sun's just starting to try and peek over the trees here. Yeah, it's just this lake doesn't seem to be very active compared to the other lake. Like where I'm parked with the forester, I walked down to the water and just watched the water, and I was seeing jump after jump. He nailed it a second time. That was that. Okay, I had a feeling I was gonna have to retie this swivel on, and well, it came time where I had to retie the swivel on. It just snapped the line right at the weight. So I think what I'm gonna do is have some breakfast so I can fill up the gas tank and grab some more gear, rig up my rod again, and head back over into that channel. Just getting those sausage patties started, and I noticed there's a tiny little frog hanging out by my stove. Okay, I'm all fed. Got a new line tied on my rod. I've paddled my way to the beginning of the channel, kind of into where the first lake opens up over on the left side here. And I've been trolling this entire time. Not even a nibble, much like the entire time I've been fishing. Oh! Look at that, fish right away. Oh, he's fighting it too. Oh, this has got to be a good fish. In the net. He's still pretty small, but I think we're going to keep this one actually. Okay, fishing rod in the rod holder. Okay, finally one good fish for pan frying. Nice little rainbow. Really cool colors in them. Certainly like to get a larger fish, but that'll do to start. That was pretty good. That was like the second or third cast I got that fish, and then the next following cast I had a good bite. Look, there's another one. He's fighting really hard too, but I don't think he's very big. Yeah, he's definitely smaller. We're gonna let this guy go. Oh, he got hooked right in the gills. Fuck. We're gonna have to keep him now. Yeah, I really hate it when they're that small, but they get hooked that bad. Because there's not much you can do. I mean, you can release it, but it'll never survive. There's another fish. It's just as small as the second one, so we're gonna let him go. Oh yeah, there's another one. Man, all of them are good fighters. Another fish just jumped out of the water over here. This guy in the net. Still definitely a little small. Holy fuck, is he ever hooked bad. I don't think I have a choice on this one. Oh. The entire treble in his throat. Just casted my lure right off the end of the line. Alright, I got this other one tied on. It's the same type of thing with a purple kind of tiger head. Purple tiger blade with a little red on the front. Yellow tail. Definitely interesting combination. Oh, there's a fish already. First cast. This guy looks a little too small. Don't get jacked up, bro. Just barely hooked too. Yeah, we'll put him back. Yeah, they're really popping out of the water around me, that's for sure. So this is definitely a little hot spot. It just goes to show you that persistence pays off. Something not working, try something else. Different lure, different location, different retrieval speed, something. There's a fish. They always go into panic mode as soon as they get close to the kayak. Holy snapping. Trying to judge if I really want this one. Oh, he's out of the hook anyway. Yeah. Let's do a little size comparison here. Oh, he looks bigger than that second one. I think we're going to keep him. I'm just about the legal limit. I've got 4. I can get 5. I would like to get a much larger fish. Here's another one. Yeah, once they're hooked, they're hooked. And wow, did he ever get hooked? All right, well we have to keep this one now too. Okay, well that does it for fishing today. There, I just noticed getting this hook out, the line's actually snapped off too. This guy's got some really dark coloring to him. Cool spots. They're all good pan fry size, and probably I'll take the 2 smaller ones and maybe do fish tacos later on tonight. But another good thing that we're finished up here, because the battery on this is just about dead. Okay, so it turned out to be a successful morning of fishing, even though the fish are small. Still got my 5, which was what I was hoping for. I took the heads off these 2 guys because, well, we're gonna make some fish tacos out of those. And you can just see how bright red, pink that meat is. Gonna be some delicious wild rainbows. Well, I've had something pretty shitty happen. I decided I would put my drone up in the air because it was relatively calm. And I got turned around and the thing was just flying fine. I started to come in really slow with a cinematic shot to kind of show where I'm camped out here on the island. And it started fighting the wind, and I could tell it was fighting it. And then all of a sudden, the thing it looked like the footage, like the wind had flipped it over. And then the next thing, boom, it just dive bombed into the water. So my drone is gone. It wasn't that expensive, but man, it was such a good little drone. I'm gonna have to replace it. It's just I'm gonna probably have to wait till they go on sale again till I can do that. It's not from a lack of experience for flying remotely either, because I have quite a bit over the years. It's just I may have had it a little bit too high and misjudged how much wind was actually pushing through here. However, I will admit that this is a very small island surrounded by water, and the chances of it landing in the water were high, and I really should have thought of that before putting it up in the air. It's getting time though. It's got to be 6 o'clock. I'm going to get those fish tacos started right now. Okay, these guys are definitely done. What I want to try and do is get all the meat off the bones, and most of it should just pull off and separate here for me. Oh, just beautiful flaky meat. I want to eat it, and I keep on forgetting I have the mosquito net on. And I should just be able to pull the tail out with it. And that's all just beautiful meat. Oh yeah, it's really nice with the taco seasoning for sure. The bugs will just not leave me alone. I tell you, I didn't have this mosquito net, I'd be screwed this weekend. I'd just be sitting in the tent the entire time, because at certain points, the air just becomes infested with black flies here. I mean, they're crazy out here. I keep on trying to nip at my hands. These trout are really good. I can't wait just to pan fry one and have it on its own with some rice or something. I think they'll be awesome. Well, it started raining again. So long, flies. So long. Time for special homemade cookies. So the fire's going pretty good. This one's actually from last night, and I figured I'd use it to kind of burn up this big guy, because I don't have a lot of brush left, and just 2 small pieces of pallet there that I was going to use to make sure I can burn down this guy as much as I can. And yes, it's starting to rain again. Totally didn't realize what time it was sitting at the fire there. It's after 12 o'clock. These cookies are hitting me. I gotta fall asleep. And that's basically that. I'm gonna see you guys in the morning. Oh. Well, it's morning, and I've actually slept in quite a bit. Definitely slept better last night than the night before. One thing, those cannabis cookies, they just knock me out and hold me down. I did wake up a few times just with the same kind of body aches from laying on one side or my back too long or whatever. I wonder what the weather's like this morning. So I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do yet. I don't really feel like packing out in the rain. So I'm just going to wait it out for a little bit and see what happens. So it's just past 9 o'clock now and the rain is not letting up at all. I mean, it is raining. And I don't have a lot of real estate to stay dry. So I'm just going to try and set up the stove here. Make up some breakfast because, well, I'm obviously not making my way out of here for a little while anyway. And well, if it comes to it, I'm just gonna have to pack up and get out in the rain, put on my rain gear and try and keep as much in the dry bags as I can. Likely I'll probably have to make 2 trips if I do it that way. I don't really know. I'm gonna have to have some breakfast first and kind of figure things out. Okay, that was quite a bit of work to get this thing to light, and it's only about half lit right now. I just started using my little butane torch to try and heat it up and dry it out a little bit. But now that it's taken flame, it should dry out this side and it should eventually catch. I've just got these homemade burgers. They're already pre-cooked. They were frozen, but they've obviously thawed out over the last couple days I've been here. And I just got to use them up. They've been in the cooler, so I think I'm doing like a breakfast burrito kind of thing. I don't have any more buns. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about right there. The rain didn't stop though, it's still raining. I just finished eating. I'm starting a pot of coffee, an actual pot of coffee. And it stopped raining. Or it looks like it has anyway. Well, I think the first thing is to have this coffee and then try and decide what's going to go on the kayak first if I am making 2 trips. I was thinking, well, if I made 2 trips, I could leave the tent here set up and just leave all my fishing gear behind. And then when I come back, it's just literally breaking down the tent, throwing it in the kayak, loading up my fishing gear, and then I could actually fish on the way out of here. It could just start raining again. So I got to kind of play it by ear and see what happens. So the rain has really been on and off for the most part, and it's just really light rain right now. And I am fully suited up with my rain gear. I've got the kayak loaded for the first round, the dry bags on front, pots and pans just in between my legs there, cooler, stove, garbage, water, all the dry goods. And then I've got camp pretty much cleared up, except for the tarp and the tent, and a little bit of my fishing gear there. Just gonna grab the seat. We're gonna head out for the first round. I'm coming back into the first lake, and of course the wind has picked up, and of course it's blowing at me. Land ho. Time to get this stuff unloaded and go back for the other load. Alright, so I've made it back to the little island camp, and it's almost 1 o'clock. I left just after 11 o'clock, so it's taken me over an hour and a half to get to the Forester and all the way back. This isn't going to take me very long to break down, and I think I'm just going to collapse the tent, my sleeping bags inside of it, and that way I can kind of wrap it all up and then wrap all that up in the tarp. And if I decide to stay out on the water for a little bit to fish, at least it's not going to get all soaked. I'm finally all packed out and ready to go. Got the tackle box up front, all the fishing gear's loaded. Got the tent and sleeping bag all wrapped up in the tarp there. And the only things that I'm leaving behind is this block of wood and those 2 pieces of pallet board. They were actually holding up the stove, so I kind of forgot about them. That little fire poker stick. And paying it forward to the next person. Alright, let's get out of here. Of course it's raining again. Alright, so I've gotten to the section where I was catching those fish yesterday. And I tied on that same lure that broke off the line. Let's see what happens. I know this video's getting long, and I'd just kind of like to close it out with a few more catches if I can. And coming through that log jam, there was a lot of, look at that first cast. This one's gonna be too small, I think, though. Actually, he's not too bad of a size, really. I think if we're gonna try and get 5 today, I'm gonna keep this one here. Definitely not very big, but we'll take it. That was the first cast. Actually, I just realized one of them has nibbled the tail right off of this thing. It had kind of a yellow tail on it. Oh, look at that fish on. Your keeper or no? Say no. Get the hook out on his own. Come on, show you to the people. There, got him. Fish surfaced over here on the right side, and I casted right on top of him. I haven't even seen him yet. Where is he? Oh, there he is. Yeah, I think we're gonna keep this one too. He swallowed the hook pretty good. I keep seeing a fish surface over here. See if I can get him interested. One popped up over here. Snapped off the end of the line. So I've got one of these cheap Walmart spinners put on for now. What I've learned about the cheap spinners is they just don't spin very well. Like a lot of times the blade gets kind of flipped over and hung up on the body of the lure, and then it just stops spinning. Just cheap quality control. No real testing, I guess. And that said, actually the largest fish that I've landed so far this year has been on one of these cheap spinners. So they do work. Just started a little downpour, and this battery is now below 10%. So I'm gonna cast here a few times and then I'm gonna call it. And we really don't have very far to go, just over to here. Last cast. Well, I've made my way back. I've got the kayak pretty much unloaded. Just the seat and the paddle need to be done. Clean those fish up, and I'll be ready to get out of here. Now, I really enjoyed my time out here. The only two downsides were the weather, obviously, and then losing the drone. I mean, that was my own mistake. Kind of a learning experience, and you know, by the time I get a new drone, I'll be much more careful with the thing. But I really enjoy making these videos and this sort of content. This is the type of content that I would be rather making. It's gonna take me, you know, time to keep on building up how I do them and how they're edited. But thank you for watching. If it wasn't for viewers like you, I probably wouldn't be making these videos. It's gonna be a little bit longer till I get monetized. I need 1,000 subscribers. I need a lot more watch time hours. Hence the reason I'm making a lot of long form content. So if you would be so kind to like this video, share out this content, and make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys in the next one. 29%. Well, we're just gonna have to fix that right away.